Lady Evangeline Ashford stood in front of her big mirror in her bedroom. Her white wedding dress was covered with shiny pearls. Tonight was supposed to be the best night of her whole life. She had just married Duke Edmund Blackthorne. He was the most powerful man in their country, but something felt really wrong. The wine at dinner had tasted weird. It was bitter and nasty. Her new husband had made her drink all of it. "For good luck," he had said with a mean smile that made her feel cold inside. Now everything looked fuzzy. Her hands were shaking like leaves in the wind. The bedroom door opened slowly. Edmund walked in, but he was not by himself. Behind him came Lord Ashworth. This was the man she really loved. The man her father had said she could never marry. "Hello, my dear wife," Edmund said. His voice sounded like ice water. "I can see the poison is starting to work." Evangeline took a big breath and felt scared. She tried to run, but her legs would not move at all. "Edmund, why are you doing this to me?" "Because you were never meant to be my wife," he said with an ugly look on his face. "Your heart belongs to him, and I cannot have a wife who loves another man." Lord Ashworth stepped closer. His face looked really sad and hurt. "You do not have to do this terrible thing, Edmund." "But I do have to," the Duke said back. "When she is gone, I can marry her younger sister instead. She will give me the children I need to keep my power, and she will never know that I killed Evangeline." The room started spinning around and around. Evangeline fell down to the floor. Her white wedding dress spread out around her like the wings of a big bird. "I loved you so much," she whispered to Ashworth. "I will always love you." Then everything went completely black and dark. Evangeline opened her eyes again. Bright sunlight was coming through the windows, but these were not her windows. These were not her rooms at all. She sat up really fast. Her body felt different somehow. It felt smaller and younger than before. She ran to the mirror and let out a loud scream. The face looking back at her was her own face, but it was the face she had when she was only 16 years old, 7 whole years younger than she had been. This was before she had met Edmund, before they got engaged, before everything went so wrong. "What is happening to me?" she cried out loud. The door burst open with a bang. A man rushed into the room, but this was not just any man. This was Marcus Ravencroft. He was supposed to be the enemy of her whole family. Her father always called him the devil himself. But Marcus looked worried about her. He did not look evil at all. "Thank God you are awake," he said. "I thought I might lose you forever." "Lose me? What are you talking about? Where am I right now?" Marcus came closer to her bed. His dark eyes were full of worry and care. "You do not remember what happened. You fell down in the forest. You have been very sick for 3 whole days." Evangeline looked around the room with wide eyes. She was inside Ravencroft Castle. This was the place her father had told her to fear most in the whole world. "I need to go home right now," she said. "You cannot travel anywhere yet. You are still too weak and sick." But Evangeline was not really listening to him. Her mind was thinking very fast. If she was 16 years old again, that meant she had 7 whole years to change everything. 7 years to save herself from Edmund's deadly poison. But first, she had to figure out why she was in her enemy's castle. Marcus brought her some food. It was warm soup and fresh bread that smelled really good. His hands were very gentle when he checked to see if she still had a fever. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Evangeline asked him. "Our families are supposed to hate each other." Marcus sat down in the chair next to her bed. "I do not hate you, Evangeline. I never have hated you at all. But my father says you are a dangerous man. He says that you killed your first wife. Something dark and sad passed over Marcus's face like a shadow. Your father says many things about me, but not all of them are really true. Then please tell me what is true. Marcus was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very soft and sad. My wife died when she was having our baby. The baby died too. I blamed myself for both deaths. I became very angry at the world. I pushed everyone away from me. Your father saw this anger and decided that I must be an evil person. Evangeline felt her heart become softer toward him. I am so sorry that happened to you. It was 5 years ago now. I have learned how to live with the pain, but it never really goes away. Is that why you never got married again? I told myself that I would never love anyone again. Love brings too much pain and sadness. But as Marcus looked at Evangeline, she could see something special in his eyes, something that made her heart beat much faster. There is something else I need to tell you, she said. In my other time, I mean in my dreams, I was much older. I was married to Duke Edmund. He gave me poison on our wedding night and killed me. Marcus leaned forward in his chair. Dreams can sometimes show us what might happen in the future, or what will happen if we make the wrong choices. Then I have to make different choices this time. What will you do instead? Evangeline thought very carefully about her answer. I will not marry Edmund. I will find a completely different path for my life. What about Lord Ashworth? I know you have special feelings for him. Evangeline was very surprised. How do you know about that? I see how you look at him when we are all at court parties. Your whole face lights up like the sun when he walks into a room. But as Evangeline thought about Ashworth now, she realized something very strange. The feelings she used to have for him seemed different somehow. They felt far away and distant, like they belonged to a completely different person. I thought I loved him with my whole heart, she said slowly, but maybe I was totally wrong about that. Over the next few days, Evangeline grew much stronger and healthier. Marcus took care of her all by himself. He brought her interesting books to read. He told her exciting stories about all the places he had traveled to. He made her laugh until her sides hurt. She began to see that everything her father had ever told her about Marcus was completely wrong. One evening, as they sat together by the warm fire, Evangeline asked the question that had been bothering her mind. Marcus, why was I in the forest when you found me? I cannot remember leaving my home at all. Marcus looked uncomfortable and worried. You were running away from something. Running away from what? Your father was trying to force you to marry Lord Pemberton. He is that old man who already has 7 children from his first wife. You said you would rather die than marry such an old mean man. Now Evangeline remembered what had happened. In this new timeline, her father had chosen a completely different husband for her. Not Edmund, not Ashworth, but someone who was even worse than both of them. So I ran away into the dangerous forest. You were trying to reach the convent, where the nuns live. You wanted to become a nun instead of marrying him. And that is when you found me? I was out hunting for deer. I heard you crying and sobbing. When I saw you fall down and get sick, I brought you here to my castle to take care of you. Evangeline felt warm tears coming to her eyes. You saved my whole life. Anyone else would have done the same thing. No, she said firmly. You could have just left me there to die. Our families are enemies who hate each other, but you chose to help me instead. Marcus reached out and gently touched her hand. I could never leave you there to die, Evangeline. Even if it meant starting a war with your father. Their eyes met and looked into each other. Evangeline felt something she had never felt before in her whole life, not even with Ashworth. It was much deeper than just thinking someone was handsome. It felt like her soul was remembering something very important that it had lost a long time ago. On the seventh day, Evangeline's father arrived at Ravencroft Castle. He brought 20 soldiers with him, all carrying swords and spears. "Where is my daughter?" Lord Ashford demanded in a loud, angry voice. Marcus stood in the great hall of his castle. He looked calm, but ready to fight if he had to. "She is completely safe here. You kidnapped her like a criminal. I saved her life when she was dying. Nothing more than that. Those are lies. You took her away to bring shame to our family." Evangeline appeared at the top of the big staircase. She had heard all the shouting and yelling. "Father, please stop this right now. Marcus is telling you the complete truth." Lord Ashford looked up at his daughter with angry eyes. "Evangeline, come down here right this minute. We are leaving this evil place immediately. I will not marry Lord Pemberton. I have already decided. You will do exactly what I command you to do." "No, I will not." Evangeline walked down the stairs very slowly and calmly. "I am old enough now to choose my own path in life." "You are only 16 years old. You know nothing about the real world." But Evangeline felt much older than 16 inside her heart. She had lived a whole other life before this one. She had made terrible mistakes. She had learned very hard lessons that most people never have to learn. "I know enough about life," she said with a strong voice. Lord Ashford turned to Marcus with hate in his eyes. "What evil things have you done to her? What poison have you put in her mind?" "He has shown me kindness and caring," Evangeline said before Marcus could answer. "Something that you have forgotten how to do, Father." Her father's face turned bright red with anger. "You will come with me right now, or I will take you back home by force." Marcus stepped forward to protect Evangeline. "You will not touch her while she is under my protection." "Your protection?" Lord Ashford laughed in a mean way. "You think I will leave my only daughter with a murderer like you?" "I have killed men when I had to fight in battles," Marcus said in a quiet but strong voice. "But I have never murdered any innocent person who did not deserve it. Can you say the same thing about yourself?" The two men stared at each other with hate. You could feel how angry they both were, like smoke filling up the whole room. Finally, Evangeline spoke up again. "Father, please give me just 1 month. Let me stay here and get completely better from being so sick. Then I will come back home and we can talk about my future like grown-ups." 1 whole month with this monster? Never in a million years. "Then you are not giving me any choice at all." Evangeline turned to Marcus. "My lord, I am asking you for sanctuary in your castle." Marcus bowed to her like she was a queen. "Your request is granted." Lord Ashford's face went completely white, like he had seen a ghost. "You cannot be serious about this." "I am completely serious. Marcus saved my life when I was dying. I trust him much more than I trust you right now." Her father looked like he wanted to pull out his sword and start fighting, but he was outnumbered by Marcus's soldiers. Marcus had 30 men in his castle, and Lord Ashford only had 20. "This is not over between us," Lord Ashford said in a threatening voice. "I will get my daughter back, and you will pay a terrible price for this insult to my family." He left the castle with all his soldiers, but Evangeline knew for sure that he would come back again soon. The month that came next was the happiest time of Evangeline's whole life. Both of her lives, actually. Marcus showed her parts of his castle that she had never seen before. There was a huge library with thousands and thousands of books. There was a beautiful garden where he grew special plants that could heal sick people. There was a tall tower where he studied all the stars in the night sky. "I never knew you were such a smart scholar," she said one evening as they looked through his telescope at the moon and stars. "Most people do not care to learn anything real about their enemies. They like to believe simple stories that make them feel better. What other simple stories do people believe about you? Marcus smiled in a way that made her heart flutter. That I can turn into a wolf when the moon is full. That I drink the blood of young girls. That I made a deal with the devil to get my powers. Evangeline laughed until her stomach hurt. And have you really done any of those things? Which one are you asking about? Have you made a deal with the devil? Marcus looked at her with very serious eyes. If loving you with my whole heart is making a deal with the devil, then yes, I have sold my soul for you. Evangeline felt like she could not breathe for a moment. You really love me? From the very first moment I saw you lying sick in that forest. Maybe even from before then. Maybe I have been waiting my entire life just for you. She stepped much closer to him. In my other life, the dream life I told you about, I thought I loved someone else with my whole heart, but I realize now that I did not know what real love actually was. And now you do know. Now I know for sure. This feeling I have for you is real love. What I feel in my heart for you is true love. Marcus gently held her face in both his hands. Are you completely certain about this? Because once you kiss me, there will be no going back to the way things were. Your father will never forgive you for this. All of society will say that you are ruined forever. I was already ruined the moment I decided to choose my own fate instead of letting others choose it for me. Their lips met in a soft, gentle kiss. It was tender at first, but then the kiss became deeper and more passionate. All the years of loneliness and pain just melted away like snow in the spring. This was what Evangeline had been searching for her whole life without even knowing it. When they finally stopped kissing, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. I will protect you from everyone who tries to hurt you, even from your own father if I have to. And I will stand by your side against the whole world. But their happiness could not last very long. 3 weeks later, a messenger arrived at the castle with terrible news. Lord Ashford had arranged a marriage between Evangeline and Duke Edmund Blackthorne, the exact same man who had killed her with poison in her other life. The wedding is set for next month, the messenger told them. Lord Ashford says that if Lady Evangeline does not come back home immediately, he will consider her kidnapped by force. He will ask the king to declare war on House Ravencroft. Marcus crushed the letter in his fist until his knuckles turned white. He would not dare to do such a thing. But Evangeline knew that her father would dare to do anything at all. We have to find a way to stop this wedding from happening. But how can we possibly do that? Evangeline thought as quickly as she could. In her other life she had been young and foolish. She had trusted Edmund completely. She had not seen his evil, true nature until it was way too late to save herself. But now she knew so much better than before. I need to go back home to my father's castle, she said. Absolutely not. I will never let you walk into that dangerous trap. Please listen to me carefully. I know things about Edmund that other people do not know. In my dream, my other life, he told me exactly why he wanted to marry me. It was not because he loved me. It was because he wanted political power. That is true of most marriages between noble families. But there is much more to it than that. He is planning to kill me right after our wedding. Then he wants to marry my younger sister Catherine instead. Marcus became very still and quiet. How could you possibly know something like that? Because in my dreams, he actually succeeded in his plan. He gave me poison on our wedding night and I died. But dreams are not real proof that we can show to other people. Then we will have to get real proof somehow. But I need to get close to Edmund first, so I can spy on him. Marcus shook his head firmly. It is way too dangerous for you to do that. Is it more dangerous than doing nothing at all? Is it more dangerous than letting him marry my innocent little sister after he murders me? There has to be some other way to stop him. There is no other way that will work. I have to go back home. I have to pretend that I accept this marriage. And then I have to find real evidence of his evil plans. Marcus was quiet for a very long time. Finally he said, "If you are really going to do this dangerous thing, you will not do it all by yourself." "What do you mean by that?" "I mean that I will be watching over you every single moment. I will have my own men working as spies inside your father's castle. At the very first sign of any danger, we will get you out of there safely. And what if we cannot find the proof we need in time?" Marcus took both of her hands in his. "Then we will run away together to somewhere far away. We will go to France, or maybe Italy, somewhere that your father can never reach us." "You would really give up all your lands, your title and power?" "I would give up absolutely everything in the world for you." Evangeline felt warm tears coming to her eyes. "I love you so very much, and I love you more than life itself, which is exactly why I will do whatever it takes to keep you completely safe." Evangeline went back to her father's castle 2 days later. She played the part of the good, obedient daughter perfectly. "I am so sorry, Father," she said in a sweet voice. "Being so sick made me confused about everything. I did not know what I was saying or doing." Lord Ashford studied her face very carefully. "And what about now?" "Now I completely understand what my duty is. I will marry Duke Edmund, if that is truly what you want me to do." Her father relaxed and smiled for the first time in weeks. "That is very good to hear. The Duke will arrive here tomorrow. The wedding will take place in exactly 2 weeks. So soon? That seems very fast. Edmund is very eager to make you his wife. He says he has been in love with you for many years." Evangeline forced herself to smile like she was happy. How very romantic of him, but inside her heart she was making plans. She had exactly 2 weeks to gather the evidence she needed. 2 weeks to save herself and her sister from a terrible fate. That night, she met secretly with Marcus's spy. He was a servant named Thomas who worked in the kitchen and heard lots of conversations. "What do you need me to do, my lady?" "I need you to watch Duke Edmund very closely, every moment. Listen to all of his conversations with other people. Follow him if he meets with anyone in private. And please be very, very careful. He is much more dangerous than he appears to be." "I understand completely. Also, please keep a close watch over my little sister Catherine. If anything bad happens to me, she will be his next target." The next day, Edmund arrived at the castle with a great ceremony and celebration. He was very handsome and charming to everyone. He brought expensive gifts for the whole family. He said all the right words that people wanted to hear. But Evangeline could see right through his fake performance now. She noticed the coldness in his eyes when he thought no one was looking at him. She saw how he calculated every single smile and gesture like he was acting in a play. "My dear sweet Evangeline," he said as they walked together in the garden, "I have dreamed of this wonderful day for such a long time." "Have you really, my lord?" "Oh yes, absolutely. You are the perfect wife for a man in my important position." "And what position is that exactly?" Edmund smiled in a way that made her skin crawl. "Very soon I will be the most powerful man in the entire kingdom, even more powerful than the king himself." "How very interesting. And exactly how will you achieve all this power?" "Through very careful planning, strategic marriages that benefit me, and by removing any obstacles that might stand in my way." Evangeline's blood turned ice cold in her veins. "What kind of obstacles are you talking about?" "Oh, this and that. People who might try to oppose my rise to power. People who might interfere with my carefully made plans. He was talking about murdering people, just as casually as he might talk about what he wanted to eat for dinner. I see, Evangeline said, trying to keep her voice steady. And what exactly happens to people who interfere with your plans? Edmund's smile grew even wider and more evil. They have terrible accidents, very tragic accidents that no one can prevent. Over the next week, Evangeline carefully gathered all the information she could. Thomas reported back to her secretly every single night. The Duke met with a very strange man today, Thomas told her. A thin man with ugly scars all over his hands. They spoke in whispers so no one else could hear. I heard the word poison several times during their conversation. Did you hear anything else important? The Duke asked many questions about your sister Catherine. He wanted to know all about her daily habits, what kinds of food she likes to eat. When she takes her walks around the castle, Evangeline's heart started pounding like a drum. He is already planning to kill me and then marry her. There is more, my lady. I found a letter in his room when I was cleaning. He was careless and left it sitting on his desk. Thomas handed her a folded piece of paper. Evangeline read it as quickly as she could. It was from a man named Blackwood. Everyone knew he was a professional assassin who killed people for money. The letter confirmed everything that Evangeline had feared. Edmund was planning to give her poison on their wedding night. He would wait exactly 3 months after her death. Then he would propose to Catherine. He would present himself as the sad, grieving widower who was looking for comfort. This is exactly the proof we need, Evangeline said, but we have to be very smart about how we use it. She sent a secret message to Marcus immediately. He arrived at the castle the very next morning. He pretended he had important diplomatic business to discuss. I have urgent business that I must discuss with Lord Ashford, he told the guards at the gate. When he saw Evangeline in the great hall, he had to force himself not to run to her and hold her tight. Instead, he bowed formally, like they were just acquaintances. Lady Evangeline, you look very well indeed. Thank you so much, Lord Ravencroft. My father is waiting for you in his private study. But before Marcus left to meet with her father, she secretly slipped him the letter. He read it very quickly, and his face grew dark with terrible anger. Now they finally had the proof they needed, but they still had to figure out exactly how to use it without getting Evangeline killed in the process. Marcus showed the letter to Lord Ashford right away. At first, Evangeline's father did not want to believe what it said. This could easily be a fake letter made to trick me, he said. Then let us test it to find out, Marcus replied. Let us confront Edmund with this evidence and see exactly how he reacts. They called Edmund to come to the study immediately. Marcus showed him the letter without any warning at all. Edmund's face went completely white, then bright red, then white again like he was going to be sick. This is absolutely ridiculous, he said, but his voice was shaking. Obviously, this is a fake letter. Is it really? Marcus asked. Then you will not mind at all if we check the handwriting against other samples from Blackwood. Edmund's confident mask began to slip and fall apart. This is a terrible insult to my honor. I will not stand for such horrible accusations. Then leave this castle right now, Evangeline said from the doorway. Everyone turned around to look at her. If you are really innocent, you have nothing at all to fear from an investigation. If you are guilty of planning murder, then leave now and never come back. Edmund stared at her with wide eyes. For the first time, she could see real fear in his face. You planned this whole thing. You and Ravencroft worked together against me. I planned to save my own life. And I planned to save my little sister's life too. Your sister? Lord Ashford looked very confused. What does Catherine have to do with any of this? Read the letter much more carefully, Father. Edmund was planning to give me poison on our wedding night. Then, after a suitable period of pretending to mourn my death, he would propose to marry Catherine instead. Lord Ashford read the letter again, much more slowly this time. His face grew darker and angrier with each word he read. "You are a complete monster," he whispered to Edmund. "I welcomed you into my home like family. I trusted you with my precious daughter's life." Edmund realized that he was completely trapped with no way out. His hand moved toward the sword at his side. But Marcus was much faster than him. He had his sharp blade at Edmund's throat before the Duke could even draw his weapon. "I would not try that if I were you," Marcus said in a very soft but dangerous voice. "You are completely outnumbered and surrounded by my men." Edmund looked around the room with frightened eyes. Guards had appeared at every single door. There was absolutely no way to escape. "You think you have won this game," he snarled like an angry animal. "But there are others working with me, others who will finish what I started. Then we will deal with them too. One by one," Evangeline said calmly. Lord Ashford called for his captain of guards. "Arrest Duke Edmund Blackthorne immediately. He will be taken to the capital city and put on trial for attempted murder and treason against the crown." As the guards grabbed Edmund and started to lead him away, he looked back at Evangeline one last time with pure hatred in his eyes. "This is not over between us." "Yes," she said very calmly and clearly, "it is completely over." 3 months later, Evangeline stood in the beautiful chapel at Ravencroft Castle. But this time, she was wearing a completely different wedding dress, and she was marrying a completely different man. Marcus waited for her at the altar. He looked absolutely magnificent in his dark blue doublet. But more than that, he looked truly happy. Happier than she had ever seen him. As Evangeline walked slowly down the aisle, she thought about her other life. The life where she had made all the wrong choices, where she had trusted all the wrong people, where she had died young and alone. But that terrible life had taught her very valuable lessons. It had shown her what real love actually looked like. It had given her the wisdom to recognize her true soulmate when she finally found him. "You are the most beautiful woman in the world," Marcus whispered as she reached him at the altar. "You are my whole heart," she whispered back to him. The priest began the wedding ceremony. But Evangeline barely heard any of the words he was saying. She was thinking about the wonderful future ahead of them, the life that she and Marcus would build together. There would definitely be challenges ahead of them. Her father had forgiven her, but other noble families would not approve of their marriage. Marcus was still considered an enemy by many people. But they would face all those challenges together, side by side. They had already proven that their love could overcome absolutely anything. When the priest asked if she would take Marcus as her husband, Evangeline spoke clearly and firmly so everyone could hear. "I will, with all my heart." When Marcus kissed her, the entire chapel erupted in loud cheers and applause. Even Lord Ashford was smiling widely. But the person who looked happiest of all was Catherine. Evangeline's younger sister had been absolutely terrified when she learned about Edmund's evil plans to kill her sister and then marry her. Now she was completely safe, and she was free to choose her own husband when the right time came. 1 year later, Evangeline stood in the same garden where she had first kissed Marcus, but now she was not alone. In her arms, she held her beautiful newborn son. "He has your bright eyes," Marcus said, looking down at the baby with complete wonder and love. "And he has your stubborn chin," Evangeline replied, with a happy laugh. Marcus wrapped his strong arms around both of them. "I still cannot believe this is all real. Sometimes I keep thinking I will wake up and find out it was all just a wonderful dream." "It is completely real," Evangeline said. "We are real. Our love is real. Our family is real. She looked up at the bright blue sky and silently thanked whatever magical force had given her this amazing second chance. In her other life, she would have been dead for over a year now. Edmund would have married Catherine. The whole kingdom would have fallen under his evil influence. But instead, Edmund was locked up in prison forever. Catherine was happily engaged to a kind young lord who truly loved her, and Evangeline was living the life she was always meant to live. "What are you thinking about so seriously?" Marcus asked her. "Just how different everything could have been. How many wrong paths I could have taken instead. But you did not take those wrong paths. You chose correctly when it mattered most. We chose correctly, together as a team." Marcus kissed the top of her head gently. "Always together." As the sun set over beautiful Ravencroft Castle, Evangeline felt completely at peace with her life. She had learned that sometimes the greatest gift is not getting exactly what you think you want. Sometimes the greatest gift is getting a second chance to choose what you really need. And she had chosen love. True love. The kind of love that could conquer even death itself. The kind of love that could change absolutely everything. 10 years later, historians would write books about the strange case of Duke Edmund Blackthorne. How he had planned to murder his way to the throne. How he had been stopped by an unlikely partnership between former enemies. But they would miss the most important part of the whole story. They would never know about a young woman who had lived two completely different lives, who had died in one life and been reborn in another, who had used all the wisdom of her first life to create happiness in her second. They would never know about the love that had been strong enough to bend time itself. But Evangeline knew the truth, and Marcus knew, and their children would know too, because she would tell them the amazing story of how love had conquered death. How sometimes, if you are very lucky, you get a second chance to choose your own destiny. And how the most important choice you can ever make is to choose love. Even when love seems completely impossible. Even when love seems very dangerous. Even when love means giving up everything else. Because, in the end, love is the only thing that truly lasts forever. Love is the only thing that can really save you. Love is the only thing that really matters. And Evangeline had chosen love over everything else. The end.